She is the author of 13 #1 New York Times bestsellers, also columnist, syndicated columnist. Read her latest at AnnCoulter.com. The one and only Ann Coulter. And good to talk to you as always.
I hate to correct you on this. They weren't all #1, but they were all New York Times bestsellers.
Oh, I'm sorry. New York Times bestsellers. Well, you know, at least if I was your press agent, I aim high. So, tell me this. Tell me this, Ann. You're bringing back one of the goodies, but one of the oldies here. It's been a little while. We're being lectured right now about how we or Trump or whatever, that people need to accept the results with dignity. Now, put aside the likelihood of this, right? And we don't even have to go back to Russia collusion right away. You bring up in your column this week what is considered really the original October surprise. Do tell everyone.
Yes, this is my never forget, because for 10 years, more than 10 years, after Ronald Reagan shellacked Jimmy Carter in 1980, I mean, it wasn't, we're counting ballots until 4 a.m. in Milwaukee. It was a wipeout landslide before his even bigger 49-state landslide in 1984. And for more than a decade, liberals carried on about how the Reagan campaign had struck a secret deal, allegedly involving George Bush, flying to Paris, meeting with the Ayatollah Khomeini's representatives. Oh, sorry, I always do this. Put a footnote in this. For the young kids, actually not so young, under the Carter administration, some Islamic lunatics seized our embassy, took 52 Americans hostages. They remained in captivity for 444 days under President Jimmy Carter. So the claim was they were released moments after Reagan's inaugural address. Reagan, whom the entire American media was describing as, this crazy cowboy is going to get us all blown up. He's trigger happy. And their theory was that it was because the Reagan campaign had struck a secret deal with these Islamic madmen to hold on to the hostages. So instead of dealing with Jimmy Carter, who during the campaign claimed he had been attacked by a giant swimming rabbit, because they'd prefer to deal with Ronald Reagan. As you may recall, the victor in the Cold War, ending 50 years of Americans facing possible nuclear annihilation. And this theory, it was a lot like the Kavanaugh hearings in the sense that everyone who claimed to have been a part of it or to have heard about it, no one came forward who could have actually credibly been a part of any such, besides the fact that it's insane just on my description of it. But it was all these lunatics, international con men, domestic nuts, that sort of thing. And, this was pushed heavily on the op-ed pages of the New York Times. The Democrats spent millions of dollars. Both the House and the Senate were controlled by Democrats. Oh, don't let that happen this year, Republicans. Get yourselves to Georgia and start registering voters and volunteering as poll watchers. Very bad things happen when Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Very, very, very bad. And under, this was when Reagan was president, the Democratic Senate had these utterly ridiculous hearings. This was like 9 years after Reagan had won in 2 landslide elections. They were still claiming, must have been a dirty trick. How else to explain how Sonny Ronald Reagan could have beaten this wilting coward Jimmy Carter? Even
the one and only Christopher Hitchens fell for this one when he was basically a total commie writing for The Nation. That's disappointing. He's at least one of the smart libs.
Theorists. He's fallen for a lot of the conspiracy theories. Loved him when he was on our side on Clinton, but his name pops up. He also believed the Halliburton one. Not Halliburton, except some people did say Halliburton has some connection to, Diebold. He was a big promoter in Vanity Fair. That was 2004 when George Bush beat John Kerry in Vanity Fair. There were 2 major articles in Vanity Fair claiming that because the CEO of Diebold, which manufactured some of the voting machines, Ohio had been stolen. They inserted some sort of software in it. All of their witnesses, of course, immediately collapsed once spoken to. But yeah,
that's a bad sign. I know that from depositions. When the witnesses all of a sudden start recanting under pressure, that's not good.
Well, it wasn't quite that. They just all turned out to be nuts or just provably wrong.
Oh, well, that's even, there you go. So, Ann, we're speaking to Ann Coulter, everybody. Ann, I want to ask, what do you think about what's going on right now? The legal, I mean, did you see the press conference today? Even if you didn't see it, you know about these lawsuits. How much cheating do you think there really was? Do you think we even know?
Well, I haven't gotten very deep into it because, in a nutshell, I assume the Democrats cheated. Maybe even enough to steal an election. Maybe so, maybe not, but we'll never know. It's baked in the cake. And in a way, I have two things to say about it. It's kind of ironic that after me being a little testy with the president for never having follow-through on the things we wanted him to do, that how he ends up getting screwed in the end, if there was enough theft to have flipped the election to him, and, who knows? I think we'll never know. He kept talking about the danger of mail-in ballots. He said these are ripe for fraud. And by the way, he is 100% correct, but he never did anything about it. He should have been on the horn talking to the Republican, and he ought to do it now, by the way, going forward, to protect his ideas, Trumpism, the change he has wrought in the Republican Party. Well, for one thing, he ought to be doing a rally in Georgia so that we win the two runoffs, which will determine control of the United States Senate and the future of Western civilization. As a result, we definitely want divided government when we got the AOCs on the other side. But also, he ought to people would like to hear what is the matter with mail-in ballots. People would like to hear what can be done. One of the main things that can be done is the signature matching. They say, New York Times has written these articles that don't worry. Oh, this is crazy what Trump is saying about mail-in ballots being fraudulent. We match the signatures, idiots. Okay, then we have the election, and guess what they didn't do, Buck?
Yep, they got no match of the signatures in Georgia. It's amazing, Ann, because one of my concerns here all along, I mean, the two things, and I get a little bit of heat because I say, guys, this is I'm trying to think of a fair sports analogy, but these legal challenges, it's like fourth down, you're throwing it 40 yards downfield into the end zone in double coverage. Doesn't mean you got to do what you can do, right? You want to try to win, so it's not that it's not the right move. It's not that I don't support it, but the odds, I think, are against it. It's definitely going to be a challenging. And the two reasons I see, the big problems I see are, one, because of exactly what you said, that that there weren't these actions taken. You can't really prove the fraud. Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. You can't prove the fraud if it's set up in a way where once the ballots are counted, they're counted. And then beyond that, what federal judge is going to want to be the person who says, you know what, I believe all these affidavits, so I'm going to throw out 70,000 votes in Pennsylvania or whatever it is, and Donald Trump is the winner? I don't know that judge. I don't know if you do.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, as a longtime Democrat who used to steal elections in Chicago used to say, you can break the law or you can change the law. What Democrats did was change the law, accepting all of these mail-in ballots without checking signatures, without any attempt to prove that they were actually ballots from the people they were allegedly from. You break the law, you're a criminal. You change the law, you're a genius. And that's what they did. That's what they did in Georgia. I understand why the Republican senators are angry at the elections official who just totally capitulated and watered down the requirements for matching signatures. I mean, you can look it up, Buck. I was looking to see what the New York Times had to say about elections fraud with mail-in ballots. And their argument, their number one argument was, we compare the signatures. What these idiots that, Trump isn't telling you, we match the signatures. Well, they don't in Georgia. And the poll watchers aren't allowed to get within 50 yards of the alleged matching signatures. What Georgia needs to do is show us, put it online. Show us just a few. Give us an example of how some of them are done by machines, some are done by humans. But absolutely 100%, you need poll watchers looking at for this recount, at every signature that is alleged to match the ballot that came in. They're claiming that they can't do that because of COVID. COVID that has slipped in a lot of election fraud. Well, okay, they run them through, and then they can step away from the table. How's that? Go have a cigarette, and then the poll watchers will go up. But they need to see what signatures Georgia election officials are claiming have been matched, because right now it's basically if you get the first initial right and the second initial right, oh, look, it's a match.
And just wanted to get your take on, right now there's a little bit of a surge in Republicans who are doing this whole, and they're kind of in our business, either in politics or in commentary. They're doing this whole, come on, guys, let's be gentlemanly about this one. Are they just looking for a pat on the head from the New York Times editorial board or something? Like, who thinks that that's a good idea? Do they not remember,
right.
the Nazi punching under the Trump era where they were just running around and attack people in the streets, right, and the BLM riots? Now we're supposed to be sweethearts, right, to the other? I just don't understand this.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the only thing I would say is we need to fix this going forward. I think that's where our energy needs to be. Do not let another election be stolen. And I don't know that this was stolen. I think there was theft. I mean, for Pete's sake, there's been theft, Democratic theft, in elections. John Ashcroft, 2000, had an election stolen. 2004, the Democratic governor of Washington, totally openly stolen election. By the way, done the same way. Oh, look, we found some more ballots. Al Franken, 2008. There are more than 100 convictions in that case. Chicago, every year since, roughly 1960. What? You're telling us that the year they're running against literally Hitler, this year we're going to play it straight. But the point is, it can't be fixed now. It could have been fixed before. Really wish Trump had done something other than talk about it. Really wish Republican legislatures had jumped in. And some of them did, by the way. Some of them did, and then some liberal state judge would overturn it. I think the Supreme Court is going to overturn those liberal judges. The important thing now is going forward, never let it happen again. Republican legislatures, and we've won a lot of state legislatures, they have got to put in place no more mail-in ballots. We want one day for voting.
And you called Trump's victory in 2016 about 9 months before anybody else publicly did. Is this election over in your mind?
Well, look, I don't want people to yell at me, but yeah, it's too late. What are you? I mean, I don't know. Good luck to them. Sidney Powell, I hear good things about her. I haven't seen her on TV, but I've heard good things about her. Rudy Giuliani, I'm kind of sad that I gather his press conferences I have not seen them. I've read about some of them, have not been spectacular because of every person who has ever held government. There is only any government position. There is only one in my lifetime who changed my life for the better, and that is Rudy Giuliani. For what he did to New York, he is a hero. There should be statues to him, and I hate to see him. I mean, Trump doesn't care about him. Why didn't he have a position in the administration? He was Trump just betrays everyone who supports him.
There we have it. Ann Coulter, everybody. AnnCoulter.com for her latest column. And enjoy. I know, are you out on the college tour? Please enjoy. Stay safe.
I just finished. I was in Georgia,
okay,
and all you young people should be there.
There we go. Ann Coulter, everybody. Ann, thanks so much.
Thank you.